Now the next batsman coming is the Honorable Malcolm Guishard, Deputy Political Leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement. And so we welcome the Honorable Deputy Leader. Let's give him a big hand as he comes, please.
Honorable Prime Minister, members of the Federal Cabinet and their spouses, members of the Federal Assembly, Honorable Premier Joseph Parry, members of the Nevis Island Administration, members of the head table, members of the clergy, members of the diplomatic corps, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all apologize for the absence of our party leader, the Honorable Vance Amri, who sends his regards and who is presently off the Federation. The Concerned Citizens Movement is pleased to be associated with the formal launch of the electoral reform process. Having recently lost an election, there is perhaps no better way to respond to the anomalies observed and reported than to embrace the initiative to reform the electoral process. My party recognizes that with development and growth, and especially as our world is seemingly becoming borderless and people are moving with little or no restriction, there is the temptation to exploit and manipulate immigration in order to seize advantage over one's opponent. Therefore, every effort must be made to minimize or to prevent the corruption of the electoral process. There is, too, the ease of transferring voters from one constituency to another within the island or across the Narrows. And where there are unscrupulous individuals, some voters can be facilitated with dual registration. The Concerned Citizens Movement is mindful that there have been instances of election irregularities that have been contested in the court of law. The unfortunate thing is that the judgment of the court is administered sometimes years after the election. We do look forward to recommendations on how such irregularities can be minimized and or speedily addressed by the court. Today's world is driven by technology. The challenge for us is how do we go about the process of re-registration? To what extent would technology be used in the process of electoral reform? What do we have that can be of dual use? And there's the issue of cost. We must not allow cost to determine the best way forward. And whichever system is put in place must be as foolproof as is possible. I have raised these issues in the short 5 minutes I have been given to make my presentation, simply to share our thought process as we give consideration to electoral reform. Perhaps there is no other political party in the Federation that welcomes this initiative to reform the electoral process. It is our hope that as we go through the process of engagement, that the general public will share willingly, and at the end of the day, we will have a report reflective of the experience and expectation of our people as we seek to ensure transparency for the initiation of governance. The Honorable Prime Minister has advised that he has invited all political parties represented in Parliament to participate in this process. It is my belief that we should all seize the opportunity to participate, to ensure that not only are our voices heard, but that we are placed in a position to influence the legislation which would eventually be brought to Cabinet. I must confess that I share the Prime Minister's concern as it relates to the equal distribution of voters in the constituencies of both St. Kitts and Nevis in the federal elections. It is my hope that through the consultative process, a workable and any amicable solution can be brought to Parliament. I cannot leave this podium without asking the question of the Honorable Prime Minister. Sir, when are we going to address the Constitution as it relates to the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis? I thank you.